winds indicating 330 degrees at 10 knots.
Charlie Zulu.
Welcome to Shortfield. You join me as I'm taxiing out for runway 36 at Fenland for a flight back to our home base at Andrewsfield. The flight up was fairly uneventful with light but cold northerly winds and a fairly well scattered cumulus clouds, which did give some light showers earlier on in the day.
Okay, soft field takeoff.
Fenland Airfield is located 7 miles to the southeast of the town of Spalding in Lincolnshire and sits at just 6 feet above mean sea level. It has 2 listed grass runways orientated 0826 at 670 metres or 2,200 feet and 1836 at 600 metres or 1,968 feet. There's a nice little cafe here, but today it's unfortunately closed. Fenland is notorious for being difficult to spot visually from the air, as it just seems to blend into the rest of the flat fields that surround it. So today's plan is something I've wanted to try for a while. I often fly at higher altitudes, as I find you get slightly better performance from a piston engine in the cooler air high up, although that is a little bit outweighed by the fact that as you go higher the air gets thinner. But the main benefit of flying higher is that you find you generally have a lot less VFR traffic to worry about. Due to the complex and restrictive airspace around the southeast of the UK where I'm based, it usually means if I want to go high, I have to step climb, keeping below the controlled airspace above me as I do. However, the eastern area of the UK, over Norfolk, has no crossing airways or upper airspace that would stop me climbing, certainly as high as I can go in the SportCruiser, and with Fenland being on the edge of that area, I've worked out that today I can take off from here and continuously climb until at least 10,000 feet and maybe a little higher, which gives me a great opportunity to test the aircraft's performance and to see how long it takes me from 6 foot above sea level here at Fenland to get all the way up to 10,000 feet. So here we go. I'll start the clock as soon as the wheels leave the grass. I'm glad the wheels have finally left that surface. Fenland has certainly suffered during the winter, and that runway is really rough. I fly fairly low, building up speed, and then I zoom climb just before I reach the end of the runway.
Just take a little turn to the right just to avoid noise sensitive area.
My route back to Andrewsfield required a right turn from runway 36, heading southeasterly out of Fenland's ATZ. I'll continually climb, heading towards the Clacton VOR some 80 miles away, then start my descent before reaching the airspace around London, before turning south and home. So back in the aircraft, we've just passed 3,000 feet and are climbing steadily at around 900 to 1,000 feet per minute over the flat Norfolk countryside.
I'll show you around. So just climbing up through 3,500 feet. Got 900 feet a minute, which is there. Climbing just over, just under 80 knots. And we've got a 13 knot tailwind.
The Norfolk landscape is so featureless, just field after field dissected by long straight drains that help fight the flooding.
There's another one of those drains that we were talking about. It drained the flatlands. Look how flat it is, there's nothing at all.
Today's weather is perfect for this flight. There's some high cloud either side of our route, but in between it's perfectly clear all the way down to the ground.
So we're just 7 minutes after departure, after we left the ground, and we're already at 6,000 feet. And we're around 10 miles to the south now of Fenland. 6,500. Gonna go to flight levels now. Still climbing at 700 feet a minute. Outside air temperature -5.
So we've passed the transition altitude, which in this area is 6,000 feet. Flight levels are used by all aircraft flying above a certain altitude, so that everyone will set their altimeters to the same barometric pressure setting of 1013.25 hectopascals or 29.92 inches of mercury if you're in the States, ensuring we are all using the same reference. Above the transition altitude, we're now flying on flight levels, instead of using feet as the measurement. Flight levels are divided into 500-foot chunks of airspace and are referred to as flight level 70 if your altimeter reads 7,000 feet, or flight level 115 if your altimeter reads 11,500 feet, and so on. Flight levels normally start at an altitude where ground obstacles or terrain would no longer be a factor. So in the UK, for example, starting flight levels above 6,000 feet is higher than any UK topography by a long shot, whereas in mountainous areas or in the US, transition altitudes can be much higher. Airspace above the transition altitude is referenced to flight levels, and as 1 hectopascal equates to almost 30 feet, having a local pressure setting of say 980 hectopascals, which is not uncommon, can make the difference of almost 1,000 feet, meaning you could be busting airspace, or worse if you have the wrong setting.
Golf, Romeo, India, Victor, Echo. Golf, Romeo, India.
Flight level 80.
I have the London Information Service tuned into the radio, but I'm not talking to them. In fact, I'm not talking to anyone,
I have to put the cabin heater on. It's
which some people might find strange.
cold in here now.
They sound quite busy, and I'll be switching over to Stansted radar shortly, so I'll just maintain them as a listening watch.
T's and P's are okay. Flight level 90.
Tango Oscar, Roger, Squawk Consecutive, FIDAY.
Consecutive, answer, what's the line, Oscar?
25 knot tailwind now.
All of a sudden, I hear a muffled pop in the cockpit.
Oh, look at my crisps. Oh, look at my crisps. They've all blown up. I wonder what that noise was. It was the crisps. Coming up on here. Here we go. Here we go. Flight level 100. We've got minus 11 degrees centigrade. So it's taken us 15 minutes to get to flight level 100.
So we've reached flight level 100, but she still wants to climb, and I have the airspace, so I'm going to take her up a little higher.
So we're just coming up on, I'm going to stop the climb at flight level 110, 11,000 feet. And we're going to go sort of along this clear bit. I'm not going to the right because there's the cloud looks unbroken there. And the tops of that will be similar altitude to what I'm at, so I can't do that. Although these ones down here are quite a bit lower. Okay, going to level off now.
London Information, Golf Romeo, India, Victor Echo, struggling to hear you on 125475. What do you want to change?
So minus 14 degrees centigrade, flight level 110. Not bad. That was, yeah, about 17 minutes.
As we settle into the short cruise period before I have to start descending into the London area, it's time for some in-flight snacks. And as we're up here in the flight levels today, why not go for some airline style food?
Okay, so here we go. So as we're like an airline, look at these. Look, these have all blown up. They were flat on the ground. They've all blown up. So crisp time. We've got, oh yeah, I'm going to need to come down a bit in a minute, so we'll make the most of this. So as we're at airline height, altitudes, we will go to airline food. So I've got my crisps here.
Information, good afternoon, please 09 for a basic service.
I've got my miniature Coke, the same one they serve on the aeroplane, on the airliners.
Good afternoon, please 09 is an EC135 helicopter.
I'm not sure where I should open it though.
17 miles to the southwest of Exeter.
Right, actually I'm going to have to come down a little bit. I'm going to approach controlled airspace in a minute. Down to flight level 100.
Okay, it's time to descend. That was great, and the little SportCruiser performed fantastically. She climbed from sea level to over 2 miles high in just 17 minutes. I'm so pleased with that. That wind has changed from a northerly to a westerly as we join the pattern back at Andrewsfield on a right base leg, and we turn final into a very bright and low sun for runway 27 left, making this landing really tricky.
Andrewsfield traffic, Golf November Juliet Charlie Zulu SportCruiser, final runway 27 left Andrewsfield.
Well, that sun is really bad.
With a westerly runway and with the sun low in the sky, it's really hard to see the runway clearly, especially as it's grass. And to make things worse, there's a left and a right side, and I need to make sure I land on the left.
No, I can't see that. I can't see a bloody thing. That is terrible.
That's it, I'm safely down. Thank you so much for watching. Fly safe and Shortfield out.